Hey you, welcome back to the channel. And guys, today we want to talk about yet the latest Bitcoin fork, Bitcoin MYK. So I know a lot of people going, oh, we just came off of the worst Bitcoin fork in history. It's utterly destroyed cryptocurrency. Why on earth would another fork be a solution? So what we've gotten is through these large amount of forks. It's actually 70 active forks now. It's been a total recorded by fork.io of 98. And so I think that for the most part, many people might feel like none of them have done anything really to help the nature of Bitcoin. And in fact, maybe the opposite could be said, correct? So what Bitcoin MYK attempts to do is maybe combine many of those the good things that came out of this fork, if anything, and try to come up with a solution to the present day situation we have within Bitcoin itself, its limitations, as well as the limitations of many of the forks that have come out of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin MYK it's a brainchild that I created. It developed out of the first token I created, which was Mykos Coin, which was meant to be this simplified way to mass adopt. And it recently came to our attention that it would work better if this became a fork of Bitcoin and gave value back to the Bitcoin holder. So I'm going to get right into it. We all understand forks. We understand the negative components of forks. I'm going to jump right into what's so special about this Bitcoin fork and why I think it might be part of the solution. So if you look right here with this wallet ID, you see dates, transactions, and balances have come in. And this is similar to how the Bitcoin MYK fork is going to work. We're basically going to be able to take your balance here at a specific date in which you claim your tokens. And this is where it's going to get a little bit different from the Bitcoin forks we're accustomed to. Now, this will fork on the same scale as the 21 million existing Bitcoins that exist, but we will fork Bitcoin MYK at a 4-to-1 ratio. But let's explain why this is important and different than what you're going to get with the other Bitcoin forks, and why we think this is going to help to solve a lot of problems. And instead of it being your traditional snapshot taken, we will have a verification wallet when you claim your tokens to receive your Bitcoin MYK. And whatever your balance is, you will receive of Bitcoins, you will receive Bitcoin MYK at a ratio of 4-to-1. Now, and that is because it's about 100 million tokens in Bitcoin MYK, obviously over the 21 million Bitcoins that exist today. But you will actually have a ratio a little bit more over 4 Bitcoin MYK to Bitcoins. Now, here's why this is all important, and here's where the difference is with Bitcoin MYK. When you claim your tokens, we will check your balance here. And as your balance exceeds the balance from the point in time which you claim your Bitcoin MYK tokens, as you buy more Bitcoins, you will receive additional Bitcoin MYK tokens over the amount that you buy. Now, obviously, with us doing that, the idea is to encourage buying Bitcoin, right? So this is where this is a kind of different type fork. We actually want to encourage you to buy Bitcoin, not go off and buy something else. And it's going to be a little intricate, and it's going to be a little some complexities to this. But before the video is over, we're going to try to explain to you the direction we're going in, why we think that this will be the better approach to this. So the design is to encourage everyone to buy Bitcoin. As you go over your verified balance, you will receive over that balance the additional Bitcoins you've bought in Bitcoin MYK tokens at the slightly over 4-to-1 ratio. Now, one issue that comes up in an approach like this would be double spending, right? Somebody could just as easily send their money off to another Bitcoin wallet. If the idea is to encourage you to buy more Bitcoin and you're awarded Bitcoin MYK tokens whilst doing that, somebody could just send the tokens off to another Bitcoin wallet, try to claim that wallet. So here's where we solve that issue. When you go on our website and you or you claim your Bitcoin MYK, you will have to register an account. Now, when you register that account, you don't have to provide any personal details. You will need to provide an email to verify the account, but you don't have to provide, it could be a dummy email. Our direction, we're not after personal data. The only thing we're attempting to do is try to prevent any type of double spending by people trying to use several dozen wallets and to try to claim from those wallets in a type of double spend type situation. So what we do to combat that is, if we suspect, we have various means. When you get the Bitcoin MYK wallet from the account, and you go and you download our wallet and you get our or you can use the online client wallet, as this will be available on the Waves decentralized platform, which is where Bitcoin MYK will trade. And we're going to explain to you why we chose that exchange and why we're using it and why it's important to what we're doing with Bitcoin MYK. So when you register your account, we'll be able to verify that account and link it to your Bitcoin MYK wallet. So in order to prevent the double spending, we will reserve the right to deny Bitcoin MYK tokens to suspected bad actors. Okay. And so, if you're discovered to be a bad actor, you will not be allowed to receive tokens that you purchase in additional Bitcoin tokens you purchase. You won't be able to get over the balance of or be rewarded more tokens over the balance. So we're hoping that will discourage a lot of bad actors and stop a lot of double spending. But we do have our ways to track the activity. And again, this is to collect any personal data on the people or anything like that. We are just tracking the wallets and where the transactions are going to make sure that you're not a bad actor and hurting the system that hopes to encourage more seeing and obtain more Bitcoin MYK tokens. Now, I'm going to get into some important things why I think we need Bitcoin MYK. So what it comes down to at this point in time is Bitcoin core as it exists. We have discovered basically that Bitcoin just isn't good for doing transactions, right? It's slow. And most of us are still investing in Bitcoin because it has stood the test of time and it's working like a store of value, right? But if we go back to Satoshi's original vision, where Bitcoin was supposed to be this money of the world, this money of the internet, it fails to do that, right? We can't use Bitcoin in that capacity. So this brought about the forks like the Bitcoin Cash fork to try to create this more efficient way to send Bitcoin. And as we're looking at that today and the over 90 something odd Bitcoin forks, we've seen many times this problem in Bitcoin, right? With these trying to solve that problem of it just not being a good payment system. The problem is a lot of people then go off to, well, maybe it's better to use something like Ripple or use something like Litecoin or even use something like Doge, right? Use all these, and it's many more, right, that you can use that can get the job done. The only issue is they aren't Bitcoin, right? And so you're solving the Bitcoin problem in cryptocurrency, but you're not doing it with Bitcoin. And the people who've invested in Bitcoin, they're not able to take any advantage of already investing in Bitcoin and being able to have a way to quickly send transactions in an efficient way. And so I think that's what's been a huge part of the problem and why people have been trying to solve that problem. So let's move on from that to the next part of this fork. And first, I'm going to use the definition that fork.io uses, and when they talk about what exactly a fork is, because I know the method that we're using here is probably not one that or what's been seen in forks up till now. So according to fork.io, they consider a Bitcoin fork as a project that issues coins via some inheritance of the state of the Bitcoin ledger. And so it's a very limited description of what a fork is. And they go on to talk about that is because many of these projects are ambiguous and left up to interpretation. And the nature of the projects are based on specifics, right? And whatever the project is. And so based on that definition, Bitcoin MYK is a fork because all of the tokens that are in use in Bitcoin will be the tokens that are in use in Bitcoin MYK. That ledger is the inheritance of Bitcoin holders, right? And so, to just make a long story short here, this could be a way to reward Bitcoin users and be able to use Bitcoin as a money like it was meant to be used. Now, what we've opted to do is use the Waves decentralized exchange because Waves is super fast. We don't think it's in our best interest to build an additional blockchain. We don't see a point in that. Many other Bitcoin forks have done this. There's a new Bitcoin fork that's coming out, headed up by Richard Hart. If you don't know who Richard Hart is, he's a very smart guy, does a lot of crypto content and early investor in Bitcoin, has made a lot of money and things like that. But he's actually launched something called Bitcoin Hex. And what Bitcoin Hex is, it's not on their own blockchain. It's going to be an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain chain, but they will use smart contracts. With us, we won't need them because we will follow the Bitcoin ledger as it is in the fork. And because we're a little bit different, as your balance exceeds your Bitcoin balance at the time of claiming Bitcoin MYK, we will issue you additional Bitcoin MYK over the balance you originally claimed them at. So to illustrate that, if you look at this person's original his final balance here, which is like 0.001 Bitcoin in this example, if we came back, if he tried to claim some tokens later and his balance said 0.002, then he would receive the additional Bitcoin MYK tokens to bring him to reward him for buying more Bitcoin. By that same measure, if we came back here and say he tried to claim it and it was like 0.0005 or something like that, he would be below his final balance, and so he wouldn't be eligible to claim any additional Bitcoin MYK tokens, right? And we're going to leave our website link in the description so you can go to the page and there's some instructions on exactly how that works. But getting back to why we wouldn't feel that would be efficient, Waves is very fast, and we wouldn't be faster than Waves even if we built our own blockchain. That wouldn't be very efficient to people who would use Bitcoin MYK as money. Which brings up the same issue we're speaking about now, why Bitcoin itself doesn't work good except for anything but a store of value. And people are investing in Bitcoin, but it's not a money, right? You can't really, it's just terrible if you try to use it as money. Now, we could go back again to the Bitcoin forks, like what many of us term the disaster we've gotten with Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV and what we got in with the mining and the hashing power and pulling the Bitcoin hashing power without telling the customers and using it over at Bitcoin Cash without notifying them of their permission as they've been speaking about. We could also talk about Dr. Craig Wright and his methods to basically censor the transactions, right? To threaten to reject them all. And so we have all these problems in the original Bitcoin. And I know a lot of Bitcoin maximalists, who really care about Bitcoin, it really pains them to see that. But I think what the difference with Bitcoin MYK is going to end up being is we encourage you to buy Bitcoin. The next part to this would be where I think we're going to be different as far as our direction. We will go for mass adoption, but we're going to go for mass adoption on a different method than many other coins or people are going. Generally, the idea is a lot of mass adoption works on the concept and the idea of we have these tokens out here, just buy this token and start trading it, right? Well, what Bitcoin MYK is doing is creating a completely different ecosystem that relies more on a social capital / social media approach to gain these users and to give value back to our tokens by using this conglomerate of cryptocurrency social media websites that people gain a lot of value and money from by using advertising, by using offers. And we create this ecosystem, our team, with the Bitcoin MYK we hold, which becomes this perpetual way to give out our portion of the stake to these people to use a social capital like method that will be available in our white paper you can read, as we'll leave a link in the description. But this is very important because what we have to understand is what we found in our research is one way to grow, mass adopt something. One of the most effective ways online has been using social media, like what you get with Facebook and, billions upon billions of people using it, YouTube and all these various social media sites. But one thing they have in common is that they don't ask the end user to pay for the service, right? And the end user can come in and they can have access to the service, and through other means, through their system, they're able to generate revenues. And that's our approach with Bitcoin MYK, where we use a lot of these social media type cryptocurrency sites, as well as advertising and offers and various ecosystems that generate money back, yet at the same time offset the cost to the end user. So they're more able to just worry about coming in, mass adopting, trading the coin, and using it. And we're going to be able to do this quite easily by being able to purchase Bitcoin MYK over the exchanges, due to the fact because of we obviously expect a great margin and difference between the value of a Bitcoin MYK and the value of Bitcoin. Obviously, like what happens in your typical forks. So what that allows us to do is initially we'll be able to buy a large amount of these tokens off the market initially, preferably at a really good price. So then we're able to distribute, yet still have Bitcoin holders able to gain value from this, and at the same time grow to mass adoption. Now, if you're a little bit confused about this, you can also reference what Richard Hart is doing with Bitcoin Hex. Now, his model's different. It's I think it's going to deal with anti-aging and green energy, a lot of things that make the world better with the value from their token to help people, and that's a great thing. I'm a big fan of Richard Hart, and that works well. Whereas our approach is more to just making Bitcoin MYK an actual money like it was meant to be, and growing it through a social media type atmosphere to grow it and give it value. So I'm going to stop right there with it, guys. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section. We have live support on the website. We'll leave a link in the description. And very excited to bring what I hope will be a solution to the or one of the solutions, hopefully, to the cryptocurrency space going forward. Guys, if you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, take care.